We're looking at those things that you have to watch out for before engaging into a permanent and lasting relationship that we call marriage. There are those things that we neglect, signs, very evident signs that they are going to work in this favor if you were to move on to engaging a lady or a man, which we ignore and later suffer and at times end up dying in a relationship. So what are those things that you must stop or walk out of a relationship when they show their ugly heads? We are also going to be looking at this word that God hates divorce. Indeed, God hates divorce. But what do you do when you find yourself in a very toxic relationship that goes very violent? We are discussing these two topics with our panelists, regulars, who are always there in the evenings to educate us on these things. Apostle Lambe Valentine Goa is a permanent consultant who is in the house with us. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. Welcome to Prime Hour today. Good evening, televiewers across the globe. I know you are fixed to your screen right now, waiting to get very, very educative information from us. I want to take this opportunity to greet all those who have been contributing in one way or the other. We also learn from your contributions. God bless you.
We also in the company of Apostle Alfred Isigi. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, my fellow panelists. It's always a joy when I have to talk with great minds and great people, and also to talk to those people out there who really appreciate our efforts. Let's listen to what we'll be talking today.
Apostle Lefo Divine is also in the house. They call him the Love Doctor, all the way from Boya, Southwest Regional Capital. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. Good evening, my fellow panelists, and good evening to all our viewers. Well, it might be good morning to some people. Yeah. So greetings to all our viewers from all over the world. Another beautiful time on my Major Prime. Of course, I know this is your favorite program, and we are here again. And I'm sure that we are going to do justice as usual. And Wisdom is going to speak again on these two brilliant and very important topics. And I'm glad to be here again all the way from Boya. And I believe we're going to have a wonderful time.
We also are going to be having contributions from Amanda through Mrs. Asanga Yvette. Good evening to you also, Asanga Yvette from Amanda. I'll start with you, Apostle Lambe Valentine Ngwa. Do we always neglect some very common, noticeable aspects in the persons we intend to get married to, hoping that miraculously God is going to change them?
Yes, Mr. Leo, as a marriage counselor and as a pastor who heads a large group of people, I must say that we've had this serious challenge in church when people are emotionally attached to individuals. They refuse to see red flags anymore. Like most of the times we say, love is blind. The marriage opens your eye from the blindness. I've had cases where every sign showed that this lady is not going to enjoy the marriage, but because she was emotionally attached to this guy, she wouldn't want to listen to any other persons. There are a few things we're going to be pointing out today, and for those of you who are still to get married, take this counsel and help yourself not to be a victim of an abusive marriage tomorrow. Both parties, we are talking on both women and men. If you see these characteristics in men, don't think that prayer can substitute attitude. That's the reason why after Paul will tell you pray, he says, be ye transformed. Bring your body under subjection. The man who is bringing his body under subjection tells us in 1 Corinthians 14 verse 18 that I pray in tongues more than ye all. It is a prayer magnet, yet the place of discipline could not substitute, or prayer could not substitute the place of discipline. I see a lot of ladies in churches. I don't know about the Muslims, how they ascertain. I don't know about other persons, but I've seen two categories. Those who don't know God completely and those who know God. They see a lot of things that they cannot manage tomorrow, and they give it. One is time. For those who don't know God, they say time will change him. For those who know God, they say prayer will change him. They say time and prayer are the two factors that changes people with time. But it has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that someone's attitude has to be disciplined and brought under control by the person in question, not by prayer, not by time. First and foremost, you are with a man, and the man begins to slap you when you are still in courtship. That is a very bad sign. It's a red flag. Some people can even hide their bad attitude and pretend every way possible to have you. As soon as they have you, then they start demonstrating their bad attitude, which is also not a license for you to stay in such a relationship. But some of you are in a relationship, a man will beat you, and then you hear the girl say, if he no beat me, no show say love me. I mean, some analysis we have heard in relationships will baffle you. A girl will tell you that if a man doesn't beat her, it means the man doesn't love her. That beating is a sign that the man is so jealous of her and loves her so much. So when a woman sees somebody in relationship who beats you consistently, number two, somebody who is always right. There are people who are never wrong. They look at a woman as a lesser species. I'm talking now from the angle of the men. They will look at women as a lesser species. They look at women as insignificant. They don't see any need to apologize to a woman. They don't ever believe they can be wrong in front of the woman. They cannot acknowledge even their errors. They are so full of themselves that every error they commit, they look for means to transfer the blame on the woman. If not because you did this, I wouldn't have done this. Just to go straight and say, I'm very sorry, you know, I'm a human being. And as a human being, I have frailties, I have disadvantages. Honey, please, I'm sorry. Sweet, I'm sorry, darling, whatever you choose to, the pet name. Tell them, be humble enough. Where you don't see people who are acknowledging their errors, who are always right, a man who raises his hand to beat you, that's a very, very bad sign. For a woman on her part, if you find an authoritative woman who always wants her own decisions to go ahead of yours, you are in danger. Because one of the signs of a good man is that even if she is right, she will give space for your own to fit, and then she comes and erases it technically. But when a woman begins to do brad affair with you when it comes to decision making in the house, she wants to superimpose her position. That is a red flag in a relationship that we cannot cancel, no matter what you are feeling for that woman. We've been able to distinguish on this platform what is love and what is affection. Affection is a chemistry that brings two opposite sex together, while love is consciously accepting somebody for who he is. So we are not saying that you go sheepishly accept the relationship because you say you love the person because of that feeling. That feeling does not last. You must be practical in observing the person's attitude. Another sign, red flag, is that when you have some kind of domineering in-laws, there is a little girl who wants to get married. The boy's father is imposing polygamy on the little girl, telling the girl that the son must marry a polygamous marriage. Insisting that they should go to the court and sign polygamy. I told the girl that in this kind of relationship where first of all, don't see how much rich the guy is. Somebody can have money and he can use his money to probably blindfold you, and then you sign polygamy. This guy, first of all, is a mechanic. And then the father is boasting that you guys must sign polygamy. I mean, that's a very bad sign that tomorrow you are already considered as a second option. Because when a new woman will come, the woman will become a second option. Since you are the first woman, you will definitely become a second option. That's a very bad sign. So these are some of the red flags that when you see in the relationship, we advise you take some steps behind, reason very well. The Frenchman says, si tu veux avancer, il faut d'abord reculer. There are sometimes you have to take some steps back and then look very well before you continue.
Now, Apostle Alfred Isinge, we are discussing this because we've seen people actually suffer in marriage. Some end up dying from the hands of their men. We saw the testimony of the mother of Osinachi, who were very, very disturbing, that the man deceived them into this. They will not even have access to visit their daughter and a host of others before dying there. But some of either the men or women not also finding themselves in these situations because they acted desperate. By all means, all I need is also have that name that I'm married.
I am beginning to regret why I used to tell people that they should do everything to get married.
Okay.
I'm beginning to regret why I used to tell women that they should marry very fast.
Just hang in there.
Yes. I'm just regretting about that as a leader, as a teacher, as a pastor. I'm regretting why I had to force some people to enter into marriage. And because that is a great harm that is happening to our society today, that people go into marriage despite all odds. They just want to have the name they are married. They want to have the name they are married. So whatever they see, it doesn't mean anything. whatever they see doesn't mean anything. You know, a woman will have 3 children, 4 children, and is still struggling to get married by all costs. Can even risk the happiness of those particular children only because she wants to get married. And I begin to ask myself the question, what is this marriage that there is no happiness, there is no joy? Because of what I'm seeing today. I'm seeing some people, even Christians, the way they treat their wives and even their husbands. It's making me to know that marriage is just some fancy thing that is necessary in the society, but it is not everything. Because why go into marriage where after 2 years you're going to step out? Why go into marriage where you'll be treated like an animal? Why go into marriage where you'll be treated like some things? Now you see things that would have made you to stop that relationship. You didn't stop it because you thought you could make things better. Or you thought that if that man leave you now, you'll be a failure and your family is on your neck. In your church, they are calling you auntie, and you don't like the idea that you've reached a particular age where they can call you auntie and you're not yet married. There are some people that if you give them 1 million now, they will leave that marriage where they are in very fast because they know that you can sort out their lives with 1 million. They are just there because maybe they have a roof, they have something to eat, they are just looking for something that could make them go out of that marriage. But they saw these red flags, they saw them. Nobody can tell me that you enter into marriage by mistake. No, nobody. Nobody can tell me, except those that, you know, like those who live abroad and they just come one Christmas and they say they must marry that month before they go, and that, you know, that time is too short to be able to know who is who. And at the end of the day, you begin to discover some things. But however, even while chatting on net, on phone and everything, from the quarrels and the discussions you have with someone, you will always know that this person will have a problem. Now you're chatting with somebody and the person is asking you to send you your nude pictures. It's asking you to send your nude pictures to him. How many other women is he asking? How many other men is she asking to send their nude pictures? I know pastors also will even send their nude pictures to people. I know them. They send those new pictures to attract them into something. At the end of the day, you fall into the hands of that kind of a person, and then you want him to have a chaste life. You want him to have a marriage that is perfect. You want him to have a marriage that is sweet. How can you be engaged with somebody and you have slept with the person almost all your life? You have given the person all kinds of stars and everything before you even got married. And then the next thing you want to see is that you're married and you think that you can still have all those joys and those wonderful times. It's not going to work. The truth about it is that he's tired of you. He's looking for the next prey to be able to go after. That is exactly how this whole marriage thing is. It's not necessary to be desperate. It's good to take your time and work out all the little things that you could work out. Please be patient. I know of you girls that, you know, you try to keep yourself from the guy. You said is because you don't love me. That's why you cannot give me your body and everything. And if you don't give me your body, then we're going to end up this relationship. Look, let me tell you something. That is a red flag. It's a serious red flag. It's a desperate guy for sex. Desperate. What if you are not there? What if you travel? What if you go somewhere else? You know, by the time you want to come back, he is desperate. He must have gone out for so many things. Now, we look at all these red flags and we dodge them and waiting to see that in marriage is going to be wonderful. It's not going to be wonderful. It's not going to be wonderful. A guy who can disrespect their pastor, disobey the parents only because of you, that's a bad guy. That's a bad girl. No.
Yes, the love doctor, you are receiving boys and girls daily. What can we today say is responsible for many men and women not doing the profiling, ascertaining the either compatibility or the fact that both have the same vision? Because you have always spoken about vision. There is no vision, no common vision, there is no compatibility, yet people say we're getting married.
Yes, this is also a very crucial thing. You see, most of the red flags that the men of God have mentioned here, to some degree, most people know this. Most of the time, they just deny it from within. They know that this thing like this. For example, a lady who is being beaten in courtship knows that normally in the house they will still beat me somehow. You see, but there are some other technical things, if I want to mention, especially in line with this profile we are talking about, which is silent. You know, I remember one time we talk about silent killers. There are killers and then there are silent killers. I will just mention like 3. One is a man or a man, I want to say a man who does not share his dreams with you. This is something that a woman might overlook it as long as that man is maybe taking care of her bills. A man who does not share his dream. I'm not talking about, like, let me say you're married a medical doctor, he comes every day, he's telling you, I operated like this. No, we're talking about sharing his dream, where he's going to with you. Most women don't know, because a man is looking for a woman who can actually complement him. Like Apostle Abe said, when a man does not see how your value, that's one of the when a man does not see, that means the man does not see how your contribution to their life.
How valuable you are to them.
Yes. And this is one of the reasons why, when I wrote the book, Dealing with Feeling Unappreciated, there is no way a man can appreciate you who does not see your value. So when you might say a man that just see that a woman is lesser and all of those things, sometimes it comes from that place where the sign that you are not of value always when you are in a relationship with marriage is that the man does not share his dream. He does not see, that means he does not open up to his future plans. It might look so simple, but it's a very red flag. There is divorce pointing ahead tomorrow. Also, when a man who is how can I put it, who is not able to, who both of you, or both a man and a woman, who both of you don't have somebody who can instruct you. How can you marry a man, especially ladies, they are always more in danger here. How can you marry a man who does not have somebody that you know that can call him to order? Now, we know that when you're entering the house, they already tell you that the man is your head. And anything with 2 heads cannot go. So you as a woman have to ask yourself, okay, this man is my head. Who is this man's head? Who is this man's head? Don't just say is Christ, because we know, so tell you that they are Christians, but they don't even listen to their pastor. Be sure that let him not just tell you that it's my pastor. No, better be sure. Let him not say, is that my uncle? Better be sure. Find out. Take your time to be sure that you're getting married, especially as a lady, to a man who can be called to order by somebody. In fact, both of you should know that if things get to the point where it's to an impasse, to a point where both of us are not understanding, this is the person we believe that if they call.
Yeah, but my initial question to you is, why do we fail to do this
profiling?
Yes.
Okay, I think one of the major reason is one, especially when sex has been involved. That's what I always advise people. Apart from diseases and all of those things, when sex has been involved, especially for women who have sex with their heart, they become emotionally entangled. Like Apostle Amber said, when emotions have been entangled, that's what I always tell ladies, it's difficult for you to think straight. Because for a woman, when she has given her body, she starts seeing things. She wants you to be Mr. Right at all costs, because she does not want it to be like
especially when you are doing the things.
Yes, so I think it's very important. I think that's one. Secondly, youthful exuberance. Youthful exuberance. Today we see a lot of young people want to jump into something that they are boys. No, we said that men should marry, women should marry, wives should marry, but we have a lot of boys and girls. Youthful exuberance. You know, they want to show pictures of yes I do. They want to show pictures of diamond rings. You know, they want to flaunt long dresses and gowns and all of that. Youthful exuberance. Thirdly, there is pressure from society, pressure from church, pressure from parents. I think there's also this pressure. So it makes people do things in a very short while. And that's what will make, one of the things I wanted to mention was lack of conflict. It's a red flag. In fact, if people have not had conflict for 6 months, one of you or both of you are lying to each other. If you can date somebody for 6 months and there have not been any conflict you can really refer to, it means both of you are actually pretending. So these are some of the things. So when people are under this kind of pressure, they overlook They overlook these red flags. They don't take their time. And lastly, ignorance, Mr. Leo. Most of these young people, when we want to teach, when we want to share, when we share this wisdom, they don't take it serious. They don't take the time. They don't. That means lack of ignorance, but they don't want to agree that they don't know. Okay. They don't take the time to invest in themselves.
Mr. Sanji, Yvette from Bomenda, what are some of those red flags that must be taken very seriously when we even think of engaging a man or a woman for a lasting relationship?
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening to our televiewers and to my co-panelists. Yes, there are things that we consider them red flags in the relationship. And once you see those things, please don't take the relationship any further. I'm going to mention some of them. We have a good number of them, but I'm going to mention some. And the first one I want to start with is the fact that if you two are not going the same direction, if you two are not going the same, you don't have the same destination, you should not even think of marriage. When I talk about destination, direction here, I'm talking about vision and purpose. If the two of you don't have kind of like vision, if your vision does not align, then there's no marriage. Even the Bible says it, the two cannot work together unless they agree. Imagine marrying somebody, and for example, you want to marry someone and they think, their dream is to settle maybe in America. And another one is here in Cameroon thinking, no, I want to stabilize a good business here in Cameroon. Now, if these two people cannot come to an agreement, if they finally get married, there will be a problem. Are we moving to America or we are staying here in Cameroon to have a good business? So you must be able to align your visions, align your vision, align your purpose, and see if both of them, they do align. If it doesn't, please don't go ahead with any relationship, no matter how much you love each other. That's the first thing I want to say. Now, the second thing I want to say is values and beliefs. This also constitutes a lot when it comes to relationship. What you value, what you believe in. If your spouse comes and values something different, believe in something different, you will always have a lot of misunderstandings. So while you check the vision and purpose to align, the values and the beliefs should equally align. If it doesn't, please watch out. That kind of relationship will have a lot of problems. Now, equally, you should be careful. Don't marry someone that has a fixed mindset. Sorry, I'm talking about someone that thinks they know everything. That kind of unteachable person, you cannot teach them. They cannot learn from anybody. They know all. They have a fixed mindset. If you marry someone like that, you're going to have problems because in life we keep learning as time goes on. If somebody has a very fixed, mindset about everything, you're going to find it really difficult to flow with them because what they think they know is best. So it's going to be a challenging one. Don't go ahead with that kind of relationship. And one worst thing with this aspect of abuse is that they even blame you for their actions. I got you beaten because you did this to me. I got you beaten because you did this, you did that. I don't think there is any reason for one spouse lifting up his hand against the other. So these people that abuse, or spouses that abuse others, they do.
Okay, yeah, sorry for that mix-up. Apostle Ambe Valentine, we're talking about red flags that are ignored. You were living in a quarter with a guy, you know the guy very well. This guy apparently is irresponsible at many levels. And maybe you fall in love with the guy, you think that by getting married, the guy may become responsible, vice versa. A lady can marriage make a guy, a man or a woman, responsible and should raise the issue of vision and purpose. Some persons will not understand when we talk of getting married to somebody who has the same vision and purpose like you said.
Let me begin by talking about responsibility. Marrying an irresponsible person and then making the person responsible.
Yes, hoping that when the person gets married,
when the person gets married, responsible. I've always said on this platform that to every rule there's an exception.
Okay.
You may find persons that may get responsible after getting married, it should be 15 on 100. 85% of irresponsible people will be irresponsible in marriage. That is the exception from the rule. The rule is that 85% will be irresponsible, but at least 15% may go into a relationship, see responsibility in front of them, and then suddenly change. Some people are irresponsible not because they really want, but because they have not met the right person. There are people, if you get connected to them, you will see the need to be responsible. My way of life changed when I changed my company. Solomon said in the book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 20, he that wants to be wise should associate with the wise. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, evil communication corrupts good manners. You can get married to a wayward person, scattered person, irresponsible person, but your way of life influences the person, and the person becomes responsible. I've seen men who have not gone to school marry an educated woman and were challenged to go to school, and were forced to go to school, and they went to school and became responsible. I've also seen others who were not responsible, got married to a particular woman, saw how the woman was managing things, and then they picked up from there also. So there is an 85 to 15% ratio when it comes to responsibilities. When it talks about vision and purpose, it's talking about not you doing the same thing, but one person doing the thing that complements the other. Somebody could be a teacher, another person opens a school. The man who opened the school is not a teacher, but is married to a teacher. The teacher has a managerial skill, it has a pedagogic approach to the school, but why you have the capital to invest in that school? That's what we are talking about, having complementing vision. It doesn't mean that because the man is selling scrap, you must sell scrap. No, the man could be selling scrap, but you are doing something in line that makes that scrap a reality. You cannot be a pastor and you get married to someone who doesn't have anything to do with church ministry. The person might not be a pastor, but may be a singer that complements the ministry that you are called to do. So we talk about people having the same vision and the same purpose are people who are going the same direction, but they might not be doing the same thing. Going the same direction, but not doing the same thing. In other words, I will never fight what you are doing, neither will you fight what I am doing. For instance, you are married, your wife is a nurse. She's doing doctorate degree now to become a full-blown doctor. You are a journalist. Your woman understands your area of calling very well and gives you the appropriate time and energy needed to make this dream a reality. She's not contradictory. She is not known for what she is doing. She's known for what she's not doing. What she isn't doing is that she isn't stopping you from making your dream a reality. So she's complementing what God has called you. She must not be a journalist to make your dream become a reality. She has to understand your field of operation and give you every support needed in that area to make your dream a reality. That's what we're talking about, how working on the same vision, the same mission, the same purpose. Somebody who will not give you headache in accomplishing your purpose. Someone that will not stand as a barrier tomorrow to stand against your purpose. For instance, an over-jealous woman, over-possessive woman is not a pastor.
Cannot.
Most pastors are suffering because they are married to over-jealous and over-possessive women. Because a pastor, first and foremost, is a counselor who faces a lot of opposite sex. And people who come to church, two things happen. Women who are not married see you as their husband. Those who are married and have no husband, and those who have lost their husband, see you as their lost husband they have lost. So they will come to you and need that passionate touch. They will need that compassion from a shepherd from you. When you give such an attention, an over-possessive and over-jealous woman will fight you and kill that dream. That is to say, she is standing as a bone to your throat in the very thing you are called to do to make her shine in life. Women will get sick and come and fall at your feet. And they will cry. You are forced to give them the attention. If you have to follow a woman for a week for her to get well, you will stand that gap as a husband, stand that gap as a father. That is a pastoral responsibility. But an over-possessive woman will not be able to understand that ministry you are doing, and they will fight you. And that is the reason why we are talking about, before you get married to somebody, understand if the person understands what you are doing and the person is appreciative. For instance, Mr. Ibu's wife is not a comedian, but she's comfortable with the guy. Despite all the stupid thing he does in film and the insult they give him, and he twists his face and the way he is like a bushman, any woman who does not understand that kind of ministry or calling will tell her, you are disgracing me publicly, you are making a mockery of my family. But the woman understands where the man is going to and then supports the man with every energy needed. She might not give man the money, she might not give him money, but the fact that she's giving him the time and the encouragement to make that dream a reality means she understands the vision very well. And this is the reason why if you see a man who is constantly contending with what you are passionate about, it's a red flag. You couldn't be called as a singer, and every time you want to go out, your husband says, don't shake. You're not moving anywhere. You are staying in the house and take care of the children. She is killing that dream that God has endowed on you, and he is practically a hindrance to you fulfilling that purpose. Anybody who stands as a hindrance and does not give you the space, the ability, and even the encouragement and the support needed to push your dreams to fruition is somebody who is not going the same destination. So when we are talking about Mason and Put, doesn't mean because the man is selling Gary, the wife must sell Gary. The man sells rice, the wife must sell rice. The man is playing football, the wife must play football. A woman may not play football, but she will know very well that this man is called to play football and give him all the attention needed. And if possible, she can even go and buy sporting materials for you. Say, Papa, take them, push that pole.
That your personality is suicidal if transplanted into a marriage union unattended to. Jerry Ngate, writing from Bafia in Yaoundé, insecurity and excessive jealousy. You're with somebody who is utterly insecure and very jealous. Now who call you? Who say you be there? And all of that. How do you work on that?
Yes, especially those who have had some bad relationships before. They always get themselves into that, especially someone that that know about your past and always feel that you can never change and be a better person. So they begin to want to, they are being protective to an extent, but it gets to a point where they are insecure. They can be protective, saying that, okay, I don't want you to find yourself into that kind of a trouble again. But when it goes to an extent where they want to do everything, check your phone, check everything right up to detail, then it becomes a very, very great problem. Some kind of professions that you are in does not warrant someone who is, bossy, always poking into some things that are not supposed to poke, want to check your phone, want to check your days. When you are finding yourself in that kind of relationship, please, that's a red card. It can cause a big problem for you tomorrow. We have seen people who have slapped people's sisters. They have slapped men's sisters because they felt that it was another girl. You just come, whoop, pop, you slap the woman, only to realize that it was the sister of the boy, and you become the disappointed of what your character.
Let me give my testimony.
Yes.
A guy gets married to my cousin, very close cousin, and had never seen me, and I go visiting twice, and the guy is jealous and almost gets my cousin well beaten because of that. It happens, and then a year after, another guy who is married to another cousin in Mutengene, and I come visiting twice, and the guy actually begins a serious problem with the wife. Also thinking that I am the boyfriend. Imagine how many other persons have come visiting, and these ladies, the ladies have to. Yes.
But these things are common with boys who have slept with a lady before marriage. They're very common. If they found it very easy sleeping with you, having all kinds of styles, they just know that you are that kind of person that anybody can just touch you and anybody can just go along with you. That's it. Now, because they can do anything and do anything, they just believe that you can also be so cheap on others. And listen to me, some of these girls, these guys have had fights with other people. They've had fights. We know of situations where a girl will be sleeping with about 4 or 5 different men and then gets up one day saying that she has changed. Do you think it's easy to let those kind of girls be or let those kind of guys be? It's really difficult. Now, a man has cheated on you, they come and say that he has changed. No, it's very difficult. When you see people around them, there's really going to be a lot of problems. So this particular issue of suspicion, we want to say that it is overprotection, not really saying that something is going to happen. They don't know why they do that, but they find themselves doing it. Some even have palpitation, and some even have problems because someone greeted, someone embraced, someone salute. Well, I must tell you also that our adrenaline sometimes are very high, especially when you love somebody so dearly. You also don't want some kind of salute, because you cannot salute a particular person and you peck on the jaw in front of the man. There's always a problem, because normally men have this tendency of jealousy. When they see you, you want to greet somebody's wife, you embrace the person from the front. There is always a problem with that. So it always creates this reaction that comes from within, and before you discover it has happened. Look at what Will Smith did. The thing that pushed Will Smith to slap this thing is bigger than him. It's not ordinary. What made him to throw down his many years of career in 1 day, 1 minute, 1 second is something that is bigger than him. This woman, remember that she has been cheating, and she has been having some funny problems with Will Smith, not respecting the woman and not respecting the guy. But this guy still had the guts to get up and slapped the comedian Chris. Something was surely wrong. And that's exactly what is pushing some of these other guys. Some of them came from backgrounds, they're genetically jealous. Their families like that, genetically jealous. Yeah,
but when you are still dating someone who is like that, and consistently he's jealous,
yes,
he's never confident, he's never confident, and you hope that he will change.
Yes, girls usually believe like that. They just, okay, maybe I've not done it well, I need to help him because I love him. Besides, he's a good guy. The only problem is that he's too jealous. He gives me everything I want. He takes care of me. He can go well on bed. But the only thing is that he's jealous.
Yes, but is this not most ladies who engage with certain guys, do they not almost end up as prisoners of these guys because the guy will not want to see you?
No, he will not.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. This is the first thing is we are laughing like this. It's a serious matter.
It's a serious matter,
and that's because most women always like, how can I put it, double standards. I put it double standard. I remember we were talking about with Smith here. I said I went under a post of what happened, and more than 90%, if I'm not exaggerating, of women were saying that's a real man. That's a real man.
Yes.
I need me that kind of man. No, this is the truth.
Yes.
Now, but that's crazy because if that, wait, let's first start. If that MC was a woman, Mr. Leo, we will not be having the same kind of talk.
No, we won't.
If that MC was a woman, who said the same thing? And this man slapped a woman.
No, you are going to Louis Smith. Let's talk about this.
No, I'm coming. This is it.
It's connected.
It's connected. I'm saying that a woman first, when they meet that kind of man, what happens is this: their first reaction, due to their double standard, is that this guy lost me too much.
Too much.
Are you understanding?
That's why he's overprotective.
Good. They like it. And since it usually comes with some small gifts and funny things, it's always fun. I always tell, like when I talk to girls, when I counsel them, they come to a place and start complaining, oh, I no longer respect. I say, no, it was fun when the relationship started. And then you were controlling this man. This man was doing everything for you. But later on, every honest one will tell you they need a man, a leader. They need somebody that can take the reins. They need some. That's why some women go to the extreme of allowing the man to beat them. So the thing is, it's usually fun. They'll say, oh, this man likes me until he can fight the whole war for me. But later on, they soon discover that this thing,
hero.
Yes, they soon discover this thing hampers their own destiny, their own purpose. Every relationship must give you room for the maximum expression of your purpose. In fact, when we say two is better than one, we are saying that the two of you coming together increases productivity, increases impact, increases the way you people operate. So one shall chase 1,000 and two shall put 10,000 to flight. So, but most of the times in some relationship, either the man, it goes both ways. Some men are trapped with the women they have had. They cannot express themselves. Yes. They cannot manifest. They cannot do. I told some people one time. I said, I was counseling a pastor. Every service, after they finish, the woman they go stand for door. It was something that the young man came to me. I was asking him, how do you do? The young man goes stand for door. Say you don't over. Now you only you want to get Prof of the church. Wait. True story. Tell you one guy, remember that you want to get Prof of the church. Why you always have every service? No, next week. Telling the people, no, you're all correct. You don't overcome for my master. There's some when they against the office, it can't knock door. How far? Now imagine that kind of life. This is real. So it goes both ways. I think it is always fun at the beginning when you see it as don't play with it. But people who value their purpose cannot play with this jealous streak. If somebody can where they don't give you that room, it's not funny at all, because once it will limit your expression and exhibition or maximize of your destiny, it's a dangerous thing.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the great minds on set this evening. Special greetings to Apostle Lambe, Divine, and others. Thanks for this topic, Mr. Liu. One of the red flags in marriage or relationship is spouse's previous activities, e.g. a guy or lady who before marriage was so promiscuous. We definitely keep the attitude in marriage after all old habits die hard. Secondly, double-faced partners is also a red flag for relationship. Marvelous G. Nabo, writing from Miss Bright Street in Boya. Good evening to you. Marvelous Apostle Ambi Valentine Gua. We're talking about red flags. But you are a pastor, and all of you guys, you pastor, boys and girls, men and women. Very difficult to detect some of these red flags in church, huh?
Very, very.
Yes.
Yeah, because in the circle of the church, we are overcarried with people's spiritual presentation, not their actual attitude. Most of the times in church, we marry sisters who pray and sweat.
With
We've seen with brothers.
Yes,
with
and the brothers, the brothers who also pray and sweat. When the service is going on, the bride making a rakatalabazata. He said that brother has fire. Not knowing that on top of that fire, some are leaving that fire, they go and climb on the lady. They leave that fire, they go and climb on the lady immediately. So we judge with our five senses, and we don't take time to actually study people. We know that the fear of God is when a woman attends church consistently. The women will never miss church, but they are terrible in attitude. We also look at those ladies who are quiet. We think that quietness is spirituality. You see a sister in the church, say, no, this one is cool, she's quiet. Listen, the outspoken ladies and the ones who are very, very scattered are the best kind of women to get married to. The ones that will tell you that this one is not correct. Not the one that you speak to, she will sit like the rock that cannot be removed. Quietness is not spirituality. And sometimes it is very difficult because why? You can never judge somebody's attitude in a church service. And most of the time we see people and conclude who they are in a church service, not knowing that the life you live out of the church is a real Christian life. I tell people that a church is a training ground. You don't manifest Christianity in church. You are taught Christianity in church to demonstrate in the street. Your real Christianity is in the street. So if you want to find about somebody, go around the person's neighborhood, go to his family, go to the community where he is. Don't go to the church. The church cannot give you an accurate or effective story concerning an individual, because while the time spent in the church is very limited. That's the truth. And then most people sometimes conclude because they see somebody the way they dress. Someone's dressing tells you that she's holy. She doesn't wear dresses that expose her body. I've said that they are angels with wrong dresses, and they are demons with the right dresses. I was reading one of Rebecca Brown's book. She said they were agents of darkness sent to go and disrupt a crusade. They entered the crusade ground and they dressed like these are Pentecostal sisters. Their headscarf was around their waist level and their gowns covered their feet. Anybody who saw them in that crusade ground, you know, in an erotic relationship, there are a lot of things they are going to curb, they are going to hide. They're going to see it because why? They are thinking of settling with you tomorrow. So people make this mistake of thinking that because they're in a platonic relationship with somebody and they don't see some negative characteristics, they can get it equally in an erotic relationship. It's a very big error of monumental proportion. I think we should come to a place that we should be able to study the individuals. The only counsel I can give to anybody who intends to get married is that take your time and study the person in question, because no husband is the same. The first studies, no wife is the same. Study what you have in your house. We may only give you general counsel as counselors, but the truth is that there are realities about the man you are going to get married to that you alone will discover. That's the simple truth. If we call all our wives here, he will give another interpretation of his wife. Mine will give mine. He will give his. He will give his. But they are all women. So we are not talking as if we know the person you want to get married to. Take your time as an individual. Number two, let nobody tell you who your partner is. Because you find a lady asking another lady what she thinks about her partner. You should be mad. It's like somebody telling you about your father. A young man came to me who is a Christian in my church and told me that he went somewhere and they said to him that I have gone and joined politics. And then I asked him that if outsiders are telling you that you be your father, it means you're a bastard. It's only a bastard that finds about his father outside. And if you as a lady, you are finding out about your boyfriend from somebody else, you are not a wife material.
Okay.
Same goes to any man that finds out about his wife from another person. Know the person you want to get married to individual personally.
Good evening to you, Chukwu Emeka Roland, as well as to you, Ashe Million, and to you, Wilson Madon. Good evening to you, Malaika Isinge, my classmates in the University of Boya, and to you, Chibu Ngum Chibweze Godwin. Good evening to all of you. Now, it's very difficult identifying red flags in a partner in church. You guys are living with them. How do we fix this? Because in church, there are some directives you give now. You have the elder of the church committee for marriage, the marriage council. You have the elders who will tell you that the day we see you in that boy's house, they say the girl 10 meters apart. How do you even identify what is right or wrong in them?
No, that thing used to be. Now it is not. Before they want to even finish to see the church that they want to marry, they have already started sleeping.
Is that the observation you have?
It's very common these days.
Okay.
It's rare. You can hardly see churches where they begin to put those barriers. No. At first, you used to see churches maybe like Full Gospel, Apostolic, Deeper Life, and so many others. But now, people want to keep their Christians there. They don't want them to leave and run to the next church, because now what we see in our churches is not revival. It is not even not church growth.
Movement.
People are rotating from one church to the other, rotating. So people just want to keep down their people, and they don't bother to even go to all those details again as before. Okay. Provided you're very active in the church and you can be close to the pastor or some deaconess and everything. If you get close to a lady in the church, it's not a problem anymore. You can even get close to a lady in church and sleep with her for 1, 2 years, 3 years, and then after that you come that you want to get married. And some of them even get pregnant during these periods and then abort so many of those pregnancies, and then they finally come together.
In church?
Yes. It happens in the church.
Man of God, this is revealing.
No, it is happening in the church. There's no joke about it. Many of those people do some of these things. And what is the reason? The reason is there's a lot of hypocrisy today in the name of Christianity. There's a lot of hypocrisy. And you mostly find them in some of these churches who claim that maybe they are too holy and they want to to guide a lot of things. And some of these people, you see them tying headscarves and long dresses, but later on you see them in nightclubs. You see them in some serious places that you did not expect. Yes, you see them in some of those places, and you begin to ask yourself the question that what is happening? This girl, I saw her in church. Today I am seeing her in a nightclub, and the next day she's going to church to sing in the choir and that kind of thing. If you want to see, you go now to a church, you want to carry out deliverance. It's mostly the choir members that are going to fall under anointing, that are going to fall under deliverance and all this. Because of what? There is a misconstrued, attitude or behavior that they just believe that when somebody is in the choir, somebody is closer to the pastor, somebody is closer to deaconesses, that person is a very good person. Now, like I said, you think that they still do those things, but they don't do them anymore. People are free to do what they want to do. But now, what are some of the challenges? If they ask you some amount of money you cannot offer, you become a problem to them. If they cannot maybe sew the pastor a coat or a suit, or maybe you're not a friend to the pastor or somebody, that is when some of these obstacles begin to happen. And let me tell you of truth, many of these girls don't reveal their true characters, because how many days, or you say you come to church, how many days do you go to church? And if you want to go to church, how much time do you have to spend with one person? You don't have that time. You go for a program, and the program is closing. Sometimes it's a prophetic church where the man of God closes around 2 o'clock in the night. That kind of a thing. Before you want to close and go home, you go to Sunday church in the morning and close around 6 o'clock in the evening or 4 o'clock in the evening. You don't have time to know people. That is the truth. Highest you will only see them is the new dresses they wear and the new hair design they have made, and they come, and when they do all those things, you see them serving the Lord. You say, oh, that girl can be wonderful. I've been seeing her since this program. She has been there from day one to the last day, and so on and so forth. Now, if the man of God has moved around and prophesied one-on-one and he has taken right to 4 o'clock, before that time you're already finished. How will you even have time to think about a beautiful girl that you want to marry, to check her character and everything? So finally, you're only going to conclude based on her services she's rendering to the Lord. And that is where these problems are. And now you go to the pastor will tell you that, yes, that particular girl, she's a serious girl.
The Spirit of God spoke to me.
Yes, it's a serious girl. That girl is a serious girl.
Holy Ghost
and you
just
ask
spoke
him
to
that,
me.
why is she a serious girl? Why is she a serious girl? Because she's in services all the time. Because she brings some things to the pastor. Because maybe she brings food, or maybe she buys a bottle of granite and come and give the man of God. Man of God say, wow, this girl is a very wonderful girl. I would like caring. Yes, I would like my serious brother in the church to marry her, only to marry her and find out that that's some kind of case. Yes, only to marry her. The worst thing. Let me tell you something, Mr. Leo. Let me tell you something. One of the things that some of these church boys have not known is that many of these church boys are very ignorant when it comes to a woman. They don't know much about women.
Yeah, but you're blaming church ladies who are pretending. Most of us men also pretend a lot. Yes, I remember today I'll be sharing my experience. I remember when I used to worship, I've worshipped somewhere, and I always come in jean and maybe in slippers and maybe t-shirt. I just sit. Almost all the brothers, they were in suit.
Suit with tie.
They were in suit and in putting coat, and in the church, everybody will see them as the big guys. Is that not also deceiving? Because you say the girls are pretending. We also pretend and deceive some of these girls.
Protocol of the church.
Yes, there are protocols.
Sometimes there are protocols of churches that they will urge you to dress in a particular way.
Yes, it is the dress code.
Yes, the dress code will force you must dress in that way.
But the most dangerous part are the women. I am telling you.
Okay.
See, the highest deception is these girls who make somebody to think they are virgins. And when you marry them, only to go and find out to see that these people are no more virgins. They are like, man of God. I've had terrible situations. Sincerely, I've had terrible situations where firebrand, tongue-speaking brothers swindle ladies left, right, center, deceiving them in church that they were.
Is that not what I said?
They were CEOs in this and that and that and that.
Well,
and because these sisters hardly took time to find out. Yes. And they'll give testimonies in churches every day that God has blessed, God has blessed, God has blessed. To show
they were praying. Yes. When I went for my 7 days fast and the Lord ministered to me, and I just said, go and sow something in Papa's life. And I went and sowed it. Dear children, servants of God, can you imagine what happened to my life? And those kind of testimonies, they are very thrilling.
Now, pastors equally travel to other churches and go to those large churches in order to win attention. They give testimonies that God has never done.
Yes.
Yes, so I think that the call here, I wanted us to really take time to look at what is happening in the church. Because in the church, most of these red flags, you hardly identify them.
Yes. Because one of the challenge also is, first, one of the things about in the church is, generally, the church rarely creates, that means the avenue of relationship is socializing is limited. You understand? Limited. So imagine we have there's midweek service and Sunday service. They don't come there and they are talking about 3 ways to hold a man. You understand? That is not what the church is really doing every week. You get it? Just the other day during Easter, I had a small gathering with some of my children came in the house, and I was telling them something. I said, most of the time people blame the pastor. I was telling them something, a fact. I said, just because a girl or a boy is serious in church does not make them a good spouse. Don't ever confuse it. And don't think that I am appreciating that person means that automatically the person is good at home. Because you will see that appreciation in church.
That brother is just paying a sister for 2 years.
Yes, no, even some of them, yes, some of them my target, but some of them are even just prone to the system. I'm saying that just how I think I've shared my story here about how I spoke to an usher, and today the girl is even having a Muslim name. She has gone back to Islam.
I know her.
Yes, so it's true story. So these are some realities. So, but my point is this: we must know that not every church creates the avenue to empower people holistically. This is something that I think one of the first things is that the church should also look at the whole being. Paul talks in Thessalonians about sanctifying the spirit, soul, and body. I think when we look at the holistic approach, they will see the importance of this. Secondly, I want to talk about something that the man of God has been talking a lot about. You know, he's talking a lot about this sex, and let's first be honest here. More than half of the young people we're talking to out there are not entering into this marriage as virgins. Sometimes when we're saying this, we have to also ask ourselves, okay, what about these people who have already done stuff?
No,
I'm coming.
In church, we are against premarital sex now.
No, but not. Wait, you forget that people are coming to church every day, Mr. Leo. Wait.
Okay.
Nobody was. I did not come with people in my church. I did not give birth to them, and they grew up like that. No, let's be honest, Mr. Leo. They are coming to church even today. And the person who's coming today, you did not control the person's life before. Let's be realistic.
Yes.
Secondly, the other day I've had two issues, man of God, that the man came, the two guests were, and in fact one of these person is divorced, have been married for about 4 or 5 years, divorced. And do you know what the girl told me? That one of the things that made her fall for this guy, because this man was actually a pastor, maybe in their church. And one of the things that made her to fall for this guy was because every time they were together, this guy always refused that they should not have sex. And
he was quoting scriptures.
No, the guy made sure that means she said that even the moments when she was, maybe they have kissed, she was in a mood. This was something she opened up to me. That maybe she was in a mood that she herself, sometimes she will even ask and push. This man will blatantly will carry his girlfriend. We're in the program together. He will live there, go and sleep with a hooker, like a prostitute. Comes back. And because this girl was from this girl, he had promised this girl that he's a good guy. He does not want to do anything. He wants to marry the girl. So the girl said that, okay, we are not going to have anything. He said, no problem. He was furnishing the girl, buy her everything, but he will never touch the girl. He will go out and sleep with other girls, even prostitute, but will not touch the girl. And this girl knew this guy must have changed. So we must always be very careful sometimes when we bring out some of these things, because you can miss out on that thing and go and enter still into another serious issue. Because in the church, these are some things that happen. Like for example, in the church, you would describe a guy who just walk up to a girl without knowing the girl and say, "Can I marry you? I would love to marry you." Marry you as what? And that's because they are afraid that if I say I would love us to maybe date or have, if I some churches you cannot use the word date. I would like us to be friends or anything, and look, they will say na lie, do an active lance. You know, all of those kind of things. So to make it sound spiritual, they say, I would like us to marry. That same I would like us to marry is the reason why many guys have slept with girls in church.
Is a password now.
That's the password. I would like to marry you. I would like to marry. So I think we need to calm down our high horse and be realistic about certain things. If not, we will not be able to help people in church. Because the moment we begin to act in church like nothing else happens outside that church, we are lying. Because we as our pastors, we have been shocked at girls that got pregnant and before we want to find out the father. I think men are going, I don't know if they had that kind of shocking cases, but we have been shocked by the kind of girls that got pregnant. Some, the
authors were in church.
Some might not be in church. Okay. But we are just saying that these things happen and we must.
Good evening, Mr. Leo and the great panelists. A wonderful program, I must confess. And Mark, please, for Apostle and base number. I've sent that number. Churches promote lots of immortal things. There is this guy I know whom ladies come and spend weeks with him because they claim they were brothers and sisters in the Lord, and the pastor knows they were just mere friends and permit them to stay at each other's house. Okay, you meant immoral. They wrote immortal. Good evening, Mr. Leo, my very own wise apostle and other men of God. Mr. Leo, I love this topic. 80% of men in churches are womanizers. They look for beautiful, wealthy ladies and start talking about marriage, whereas they are spiritual criminals. Even the pastors are not different. Our men of God on this platform are different, please. Only God will help all of us. Pastors themselves womanize very perfectly well. It's Sandra writing from Douala. Sandra, it appears you have experience in the domain. Can you share some of the experiences you've had with them? Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. Those girls are searching for partners. They are out in search of husbands and wives. Don Cliff is writing from Bamenda. Truly, Mr. Liu, it's difficult to identify wrong partners in church. Take, for example, an usher in church who decides to experiment his or her partner sexually. But, Mr. Liu, this can be handled. In my church where I worship, with church administration thought it wise to group every Christian under the deacons in church for accountable purposes. With this, the church can be able to attest who the real Christians are, because this follow-up is even in church. Okay. Deacons also have their preferred sons and daughters, please. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the beautiful crew of My Media Prime. Time. Hello, I am a good listener to your program, even though we are in an area that light is not our friend. Kudos to you guys, members. Keep it up. But this is Elvis Nsah, writing from Belabo, that's the East region. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the great men of God in the house. A very educative topic. I really love your program so much. More grace to your elbows. I am Yimnai Taze, writing from the Northwest region. Good evening to you. Mr. Leo, I have a question, sir. This is directed particularly to Apostle Ambe. I honor him so much. Apostle, I hope you're ready for that.
Listen.
Sir, a Christian couple who divorces after 20 years plus in marriage because they don't agree with each other anymore. They were the best of each other both pre and post marital until 20 years later. My question is, are they red flags that cannot be noticed at all by anyone, no matter what, that only shows up several years in marriage after being provoked by, say, circumstances or situations that warrant a divorce? I'm just wondering why people decide to divorce after staying together for 20 years. Jerry Ngate writing there, Apostle is going to answer you, but maybe I will start by saying that maybe those flags were there. They thought that they could pray over it. Mr. Leung, I have a question to Apostle on set. Especially Apostle Ambe should handle it for me. I believe that this topic is very timely, so I wish to find out what are procedures in a healthy Christian relationship. Okay, what are the procedures to follow in a healthy Christian relationship? I'm sure also, how do you engage and identify those red flags in church? Good evening. In the studio, I'm Kelvin from Chang. What is there about the church today is we live in a generation of seduction, even church. So most of these sisters seduce brothers in can't resist that. What is causing all sexuality in church? Then depending on what message the pastor is also passing to the Christians in church. Yes, Apostle Ambe Valentine. Two questions for you.
Answering the first question where it said people spend 20 years in a relationship and then ended up divorcing. Yes, people always believe in marriage that time we heal wounds and then attitudes could change within time. But if they are unable to mend these cracks in their relationships at a certain level, when they can no longer contain, they separate their ways. Most people get married with disadvantage in the lives of their partner. They are aware, thinking that prayer and time could change things. But statistics has proven that almost 80% of such cracks hardly get healed with time. Very few, like we always say, there's an exception within the rule. There's an exception to every rule. At least 15% of the persons who got married with such disadvantages got healed with time. Others never got healed. Because the truth is, what you see in courtship is probably what you are going to live with in marriage. And it is going to be very difficult. Wounds on the body can easily get healed because of tablet. But sometimes attitudes cannot get healed easily because of the individuals in question. There are individuals who are very rigid, arrogant, very, very always right, and then thinking that nobody can ever correct them. That's so bad. That's why Apostle Level said something that if you are marrying somebody who does not have an authority, that's a very dangerous sign. You must always study individuals. We're not telling people to get married to 100% perfect people. No. Marry people who are flexible, people who can change and adapt to situations. Don't marry fixed individuals who have some philosophies they have coined around themselves and they're not willing to change. For instance, a person like me, as the days are going by, I only get better because I'm flexible and willing to adapt to certain situations. I've also said that there are some situations that if you cannot change, you adapt to. For instance, you got married to a very slim woman, that was your taste. And then unfortunately, the woman suddenly gives birth to a child and then becomes very fat. That is a situation you have to adapt to. There are other situations you can get married to somebody who is very quiet. Sometimes quiet doesn't mean they don't have anger. There are choleric persons who are very quiet. You got married to them in that quiet mode only to find out later on they became very, very hostile. What do? If you can't change them, you adapt. That's why I said once on this platform that when we travel abroad, the climatic condition is not good for us because we are not used to it. We adapt. The dishes there, they are not familiar with us. We adapt. I mean, the way of life there, people will call you on your name call you with your name directly, Alfred, Valentine, but that's not here. They will call you a sir or apostle or senior man. But in abroad, they call you, so you have to adapt to the situation there. Going to the second question, the second person said, "What are the procedures to get married to a Christian in church?" The first thing is that you, as an individual, know your partner. Your pastor should not tell you who you should get married to. Number two, your pastor should not see your wife in the realm of the spirit. Because the institution of marriage was brought by God in the very beginning. Adam woke up physically and saw the wife and said, "This is my bone, bone of my bone and flesh." Which means marriage in the first place has to do with flesh. It means something physical. That's the first thing. Don't let any pastor, any deacon, any deaconess or elder to suggest or decide the kind of person you are going to get married to. Study that creature for yourself and choose if you have to live with them or not. Let your parents also not superimpose a woman on you. Neither should your elder sister or your elder brother, because they love somebody, choose to bring that individual in your life. I always advise you to go as an individual, find out what you want, so that by the time you are facing the consequences tomorrow, you'll be facing the consequences of your own choice. It becomes very intense and bitter when somebody chooses a wife for you and the woman turns out to be something else. You will leave the situation and begin to blame the person that gave you that woman. So make a decision tomorrow that you yourself will be able to bear the consequences of your decision. Secondly, the structure of a woman is what drives a lot of people. Does she have bum? Is her waist like the mountains of Judea? Are her legs like the cedars of Lebanon? Her eyes and ears, the lily of the valley? And then you begin to look at those structures you are driven. Listen to me. Today we marry content, not container. You marry content and not container. People are carried a lot with the container. There are a lot of good containers with bad content. Go after the content, and then you can actually arrange a container with time. And you must also understand the creature you are getting married is never satisfied, because God himself has not been able to please women. God gave them nails, they added another nails. He gave them lashes, he gave them eyebrows, they added eyelashes to it. He gave them buttocks, they pumped it to go higher. He made them black, they changed it to white. So you should know that the person you are getting married to, they are never satisfied. Whether color, Indian, black, white, indigo, yellow woman, know that these individuals are never satisfied. You must know that you have to adapt to situations and make them understand that things are going to come, even though you cannot give everything at the time. When a woman begins to press for something, violence can never and ever solve that problem. Some people want to use their authority even at a position where it is a woman's right. She will fight you. These are the things we tell you to put into place. The last I have to tell you that marry a woman that understands you for who you are. That is to say, let the woman know who you are, not what people tell you about her. Because if a woman discovers your lapses later after you hide them, that will remain a stigma in that marriage forever. You guys will talk something, she will go around and come back to that very position and tell you that, my friend, these things, I do counseling.
Maturity level of someone you want to marry. If their maturity level is not that which you can manage, you might consider not taking a relationship to the next step. Because there are people that are very immature. I'm talking about even at 40. Even at 40, they are very immature. You have mommy's boys, you have daddy's daughters. They listen, they want to run to their father. They want to run to their mother. Mommy, he asked me to do this. Should I do it? Daddy, somebody that depends a lot on their mom, they cannot take a decision on their own. That's the problem. And family interference is one key problem that breaks marriages. So if somebody constantly depends on the family to take decisions, they are not mature, they are not ready for marriage. Marriage is not for children. Marriage is not for boys and girls. Marriage is for mature people. You can take decisions on your own without necessarily consulting other people. If you can't do that, or if you're in a relationship with someone that can't do that, please be rest assured that they are not yet matured for marriage. Okay? And then secondly, you also need to check to their character. Some people blame others for almost everything that happens to them. They find it difficult to take responsibility even over the mistakes they make. You get married to them, they will blame you at every given point. They will blame you for this, blame you for that. You know, everything about it will be like, this thing happened, this person did this, it has never been them. So they have a problem with accepting a responsibility over mistakes they make. Equally, you should also check how somebody treats others, because it will not be different from how they're going to treat you. If it's someone that has people working under them, check how he treats his employees, check how she treats her employees, or the workers that are working with them, or with her, or with him. Once you check those things, you're going to know, because the way they treat others, that's how they're going to treat you. For a man that wants to marry you, check how he treats his mom. A man that values his mom will equally value you as a wife. That means at least he understands value, how valuable a woman is. But a man that treats his mother like trash will equally treat you like nobody. They don't value you. So if you're in a relationship with somebody that doesn't value you or value others, know that that relationship is going to have a problem, because it will eventually end in abuse. They're going to abuse you all around. So these are just some of the things that you could watch out for in a relationship.
Thank you, Miss Asanga Yvette there. This one says, good evening in the studio and to all the viewers. I am Alexi from Douala, Bonaberry. Many girls nowadays get married to men not because they love them, but because the man is ready for marriage. They don't want to wait for the right one to approach them, which they will end up regretting and may lead to divorce. Okay? That's the man is ready for marriage and the girl is not ready. But how do you determine whether a girl is ready or not? It's another aspect, because if she accepts, it means she's ready now. Good evening to everyone in the studio. Please, how does the church handle tribalism among couples? Because I broke up with my fiancé simply because I was not their tribe, and the guy in question was hearing a lot from his mom and sister. Betty is writing from Yaoundé. I am of the opinion that marriages will always have their challenges. Flexibility is all we need to cultivate so as to navigate all these challenges. I also believe that total acceptance on both sides is the first step to keep the peace. No to domestic violence. Chukwemeka Roland is writing from Bomaka. Good evening to the panelists. Your program is timely. Please keep it up. Knowledge is power. More grace to you, Apostle. Thank you. Good evening to you, Mr. Leo. All the pastors should fear God and stop diverting young girls' sweet talks to their relatives and other girls because of the personal benefits they get from them, directly or indirectly. It's true now. You direct the good girls in church
it's not a pastor.
to your friends and your relatives. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I love the program. Please kindly send me the number of Dr. Suleiman. Okay. It's not a program for that. Bonsoir. Alfred Ayaon de Célon votre thème. Pour ce faire, moi je propose une réelle relation à la base avec la confiance des deux conjoints et en plus la crainte de Dieu. Okay, thank you very much. This one says, spiritual daughters saga has ended up being a breed of experimental affairs. Pastors who are not married have spiritual daughters. This is not good. Brother Joe, writing from Moliko. Good evening to all the apostles in the house and to you, Mr. Liu. I think cheating, checking your partner's phone without permission, hearing gossips, without doing your own findings, and loving someone who is not of the same faith with you are other premarital red flags. Mr. Aram is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I appreciate the panel and their wonderful contributions. They speak a perfect truth of what obtains in the society. May God bless your program. Cedrick is writing from Douala. Can we just move straight to our second topic, which has to do with this, I don't know, they say God hates divorce. Almost everybody is talking about it, and men of God have come out since the demise of Sister Osinachi, and they're trying to make Christians understand some of the deep undertones of the things we read in the Bible. God hates divorce. Who is supposed to come in? It's you. God actually hates divorce. Yes, but we find ourselves in very violent, abusive relationships. How do we reconcile this? Because we know that God is the author and finisher of our faith, and He hates divorce. How do we do?
Mr. Leo, God does not hate only divorce.
Okay.
God hates so many other things.
Okay, so this is an excuse.
Yes, people can just get up and do anything.
Okay.
God does not like fornication. God does not like adultery. But you want to hear that they will tell you that God hates divorce. So do you think that God like all the things that people do? All the murder, all the beating of the woman? Does God like you to beat your wife? We only talk about how God does not hate this, does not hate. God hates anything that is contrary to His word. Everything God hates. So if we can go to the point of saying that, okay, we break this one because of this. That's why somebody said that the 10 commandments are very, very breakable. So the 10 commandments are very, very breakable. They are not, you cannot easily live for a day without breaking one of them. You can always break something. So you get up and you say God hates divorce. I am looking at how people see divorce to be a very big thing. And then they look at beating a woman, a wife. I was talking to one guy today. He says he's a pastor. But I talked to him. He treats his woman with meanness. Treats his children with meanness. But he will come and tell us here that God hates divorce. So does God like a man to treat the wife and children with such impunity and meanness, and went ahead to take another person's wife to live with? It's a dangerous thing. So does God like that? Just because you have not gone to the court to divorce? Because you have not divorced, you, no problem, you can do any other thing. But because you have not divorced, you are fine. You can go to other girls and take other people's wives and everything.
It's okay, God bless.
It's okay.
You.
But
when it comes to divorce,
God hates
divorce.
So you see how people have decided to make this thing to look like. God does not hate only divorce. God hates meanness. God hates wickedness. God hates unforgiveness. God hates all kinds of things you can name on earth. But people have heard divorce like a problem to them. Let me tell you, in my own conception and what I have come to understand, when a kind of mean man, a man that can abandon wife and children in the cold of the day and go live with another woman somewhere, those are the people God should be hating, not that divorce, because they will do the divorce. Let God hate that action.
Yeah, but let us really understand something. Yes. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and all the great panelists. I'm really enjoying the program. You guys should keep it up. Julius is writing from the United States of Ihims in the northwest region of Cameroon. But this issue of God hates divorce, what divorce are we talking about? Could you not still be living with your wife, but the actions that God actually abhors, that you are engaging in your house, already divorces you and the wife?
I was trying to put something.
Yeah, because it seems as if we are looking at the paper divorce.
Yeah.
If you are living with your wife and you spend most of the time with the other guy, with the other lady, are you not actually divorced to the woman?
Yes. See, this issue of divorce,
yes,
God does not look at the one that you went and removed from the court. He looks at your spirit. That's why if you look at a woman lustfully, you have already committed adultery. So if you, the actions and the things you think in your heart about your wife, you've already divorced. Because some people are living in the same house. The only thing they're afraid is that people should not come and tell them after that God hate divorce. So they are afraid now not to divorce.
They actually divorced.
Yes, but they have already divorced. They are living in the house. If you tell people to call now and tell you, if you see the number of people that will call you that they are already divorced, but they are still in the house. There are so many and so many.
You watching us, are you living actually spiritually divorced yet living under a roof? Just write to me, I'll read them out.
Good.
There. Yes,
good.
But is that not where the trick is? God hates divorce.
Yes.
That is, you can cheat, you can beat, you can insult, you can humiliate, but the only thing is God hates divorce here.
Yes. The truth is, anytime we handle an issue like this, right, I'm always a little bit concerned.
Okay.
Because, like, for example, somebody can still use that same, his entire argument, right, to justify another sin.
Okay.
And will be like, we cannot come and say that just because God hates many sins,
we should divorce.
We should divorce.
We should divorce. We
Yes.
cannot be doing that.
You understand? We cannot now say that because God also does not like violence. And, you understand what I'm trying to say? My whole concern is God hates divorce. That should not be what people hold on to, per se, to destroy their lives. You understand? Because there's something, somebody asked me, what will you suggest when people have issues like that? Like abuse and other things. I said divorce cannot be the first thing. This is something I want to shout, and I say it here. Two people who agreed and came together, Mr. Leo, and say, I want to marry.
Okay.
This thing should be this serious. No, I want to really say this, please.
We're getting a breaking news here that a lady was beaten to death by the husband in Douala today.
Today, yes. Just how we heard the other one. The
violence, yeah.
In Yaoundé. Okay. Now, my issue is this. This thing should make us be more serious about entering into it and not be more serious about
going out from it.
About the, you know, I said divorce is like cutting a branch. You understand? These things should not instead make us say, now divorce, 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 divorce. I think we should instead use this to shout out how important it is. How this institution is so important to the society, to the church, to the kingdom, that we should not rush to it. Because my problem is, two people, somebody cannot, even that person who was beaten, still must take responsibility for their action. That means that what? As long as you were not forced into a home, you must understand. So somebody asked me, so if it was your sister, I said, there's no way somebody I can.
Yeah, but is that not also the blame on the community? Because you see, many persons were not forced, but the stigma that goes without getting married.
Good. So my issue is that's why we are enlightening people here. I think many times I've told people here, let nobody force you, because you will be the one to live the consequence. I think I've been saying this thing here. This thing now it's just that this testimonies now has just started showing how serious this thing is. But when we were saying this thing without these testimonies, people thought it was a joke. When they take people to come and take 2 hours and watch my major prime like this, they would say it's a joke. When we organize conferences and seminars and come, they would say it's a joke. I'm just trying to say that divorce cannot be the first thing we shout when something goes wrong in a marriage. We can talk about separation, we can talk about other things, you understand? So that but we know that there's room for divorce. We have made it very clear here. But we should not just start shouting divorce, divorce, divorce at the first cry, at the first revelation. Don't just say divorce, divorce, divorce. I think even separation for 1 year, 2 years, and observation, the thing that you are supposed to have done before marriage, you cannot do in marriage. But I don't think we should just come, because when we also just start shouting that divorce, I think we have said life is very important, and we will never condone abuse and violence. But my greatest challenge is just that we cannot immediately hand over to married people on the first revelation of a struggle, that divorce. Then we will be shaking the foundation.
For a brutal man, is divorce.
Spouses, intimate friends should be a very serious point to note. How often she brings up the aspect of my friend's set, or my friend's boyfriend just got. This should also be taken note of. How many times she does wrong yet finds it difficult to apologize is another factor. Always measuring her family and maybe qualifications and achievements to yours is another aspect. If you are a Christian, taking a non-Christian is a no-go area. Taking on another Christian from a different church who never allows you attend church programs anymore, who does not take what your spiritual father says as important, who even refuses to turn up invitations from a spiritual father, etc., call it off. Pastors and deaconesses' children are special red flags, except otherwise. Be very careful with making prayer band leaders or prayer warriors your future spouse, except you two are one and God bluntly told you. When she is carried by fashion, that is dresses, shoes, etc., done, talking about the future is a no-go area. If she bluntly tells you, I don't want to have children, we will have to adopt, please fly away. She tells you she is a career person and your take has nothing to do to change her, run. She wants to win all the arguments, red flag. She detests all your friends and always finds something wrong about all of them, red flag. Mr. Liu, the list is so long, but the unfortunate thing is a lot of men see this yet turn a blind eye to them because of either the physique he sees and the so-called love he professes. God hates divorce, but that same God has a permissive will. He hates divorce but prefers divorce to infidelity. That's why he puts infidelity as a major ground for divorce. God hates divorce, but he sees wisdom is profitable to direct. Wisdom is the principal thing, my brother. Chiku Felix writing from Boya, Apostle and B. Valentine Gua. Many persons are actually caught in a web here. You are under a heat. There is the roof that is hot. The pot under you is also hot. Yet, everybody says God hates divorce. What do? You pray now for the heat to melt down.
I think the challenge we have is the interpretation of scriptures.
Okay.
I did a PhD in Christian leadership. One of the courses is the study of hermeneutics. Okay. Hermeneutics is the study of the interpretation of scriptures. And in Malachi 2, God says he is divorce. But let's find out God's original purpose on earth. It's paired out in John 10:10. It says, the thief comes not but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it in abundance. So God's primary objective is to give life. And he will not want anybody to infringe against that purpose. If there is a man that wants to take away the life that God came to give, I don't think that issue of divorce should overshadow God's original purpose in life. God's mission did not come to secure marriages. Jesus did not come on earth to defend marriages. He didn't come on earth to merge people into relationship. Marriage is just one of those numerous things that nature offers us. But God's internal or original purpose is to give life. If you are married to a man or a woman that wants to take life out of you, the person is dealing with God's number one mission. Is attacking God's number one purpose. And if life has to go, it means he's infringing on God's plan. Number 2, Jeremiah 29:11 says, I know the thoughts I have for you. Thought of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end or a future. Anybody who wants to take your life before your future is against the will of God. See, when we go and hang around a particular scripture and we don't blend scripture with scripture, we abuse or we enter into heresy. That scripture, God hates divorce in Malachi 2, is not a lone ranger. It has to be compared with other scriptures to give a corresponding response to what it means God hates divorce. There are minor and there are major things. The major purpose of God is to give life. Any minor thing that comes to take away that major purpose should be crushed. Marriage is minor to life. Marriage is minor to life. A man who is not married can still affect destinies. A woman who is not married can still affect destinies. But a man who marries and dies has closed up destiny. So we should not allow something that is minor to kill what is major. There are a lot of single persons on earth contributing to humanity. Mother Teresa was never married, but she contributed to life. build Calcutta in India and take care of the underprivileged, and her name is written in the sands of time. That's God's original intent. Why should I allow a minor thing called marriage? Life goes into eternity. Say, he that has a son has life. Marriage ends on earth. In the resurrection, they will never be given into marriage or get married. So marriage is something temporal. Life is something eternal. How can you allow a temporal issue to evade the existence of an eternal issue? I think it is a misinterpretation and proper correspondence in scriptural analysis that causes people to hang on that God hates divorce. God hates divorce under what condition? And what is God's purpose in the Bible? And how can divorce take away the original plan of God? I am come that they may have life. Then a man is beating you to take life out of you. He's killing God's purpose. And why is God giving you life? God is giving you life so that you can add value to humanity, not to add value to marriage. God is giving you life so that you can take care of humanity. If you create something today, you have added value to humanity. That marriage is not bigger than the value you are adding to humanity. That's the reason why those who are making impact are not only those who are married. So if the marriage, which is a minor something, is standing against God's original purpose, I say hermeneutics. That's why we need to get back and understand properly on how to interpret scriptures. This is a whole sermon on its own if I want to start teaching here. There's only one place where it is written in scripture that God says, I hate divorce. But there are places where God has insisted on life. Life. I came to have life in abundantly. The plans I have for you are plans of good to give you a future. He that has a son has life. He that does not have the son does not have life. Life. I died on the cross that I may give you life. He that believes the son will have everlasting life. So God's original point is to give us life. I marry you as a woman, and you want to take away that life that God came to die on the cross to give me. You are a minor subject. You are married, you as a man, you want to come and take a life that Jesus Christ died to give me. Somebody cannot die to give me life and somebody to take a life through marriage. It's not possible. So I think the subject of God hates divorce has not been hermeneutically interpreted from a biblical context, the protext and the index. And this is where we have a very serious challenge. So let somebody not go and hang on a lone scripture and say God hates divorce and they stay there. That is misinterpretation and becoming heretic when it comes to the scriptures.
Okay. Me, I'm living with...
We are not calling ourselves doctors because we are not doctors.
Okay. Me, I'm living with my husband, but already divorced. Okay. Yes, that's it. Good evening to you. Thank you all for the educative talk and clarification. Genevieve writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you all. To you all, please, we talk much about physical violence, forgetting emotional and psychological violence. Which gives wounds in the heart that are difficult to heal. Imagine a man who doesn't care about the wife and children, but cares so much about his friends, family, and girlfriends, but wants special attention from the wife and only wants to exploit every little the wife has to his family, but doesn't want the wife to help her own family. The wife provides virtually everything. Then his own money is to help his family. Samira is writing from... yes, Samira, good evening. I don't want to say where you are writing from. More grace to this program. I suggest the state take some very serious disciplinary measures against those people who always video a fight. It's terrible harassment and post on social media instead of stopping the act. Acha is writing from Bomenda. Good evening to all of you in the studio. I'm Paul from Yaoundé. I think divorce is something that is bad, not just from a Christian perspective. I can't imagine my kids out of my sight because of divorce. I don't see myself getting married twice. I think the greatest is to really go into a relationship being your real self as much as you can. I'm not against beating from Yaoundé. Good evening to everyone in the studio. Please, how does the church handle tribalism among couples? Okay, because I broke up with my fiancé simply because I was not their tribesman. Betty is writing from Yaoundé. This is the second time you're writing that message, Betty. I am Bando Alexi from Bonaberry. For my own opinion, a relationship experiencing violence from each of the partner, I will advise them to divorce. Many people are dying nowadays because they believe that God hates a divorce. In one of the commandments of God, it is stated that thou shalt not kill. But nowadays, we are experiencing it. I will advise you, especially ladies, to divorce your husband if he wants to take away your life. I'm enjoying the program. Okay. But it should also go for the men now.
On both sides.
It should go for the men. A man should not die because the woman is violent. Good evening, Mr. Leo. It's Carlson from Simbok, Yaoundé. I really love your program. I know a friend that got married without knowing the wife, and after about 7 years, the wife was sleeping outside and only came back in the morning. And if the man don't open the door, no, she will call her family to come and beat the man in his house, and the only thing the man can do is to ask for divorce, and the wife says she can't divorce. Okay, yes, but you should leave. Let's take an intervention from Mrs. Asanji Yvette from Bomenda, please.
Good evening once more, Mr. Leo. Yes, it's true that God hates divorce. Yes, the Bible actually states it. But what do you do in the case where your life has to go for marriage? Like, we've had a very serious case. We've had a heartbreaking incident where a blessing to the body of Christ just had to go like that because of domestic violence. Now, Bible says, you know, the only grounds where divorce could take place is if the other spouse is unfaithful. But we have a lot of cases, we have a lot of incidents in marriage now that it's even far worse than unfaithfulness. I'm talking about you losing your life because of marriage. You could be unfaithful, or your spouse could be unfaithful, and yet you are living. That is different. But when it comes to life, anything life-threatening, life does not have a duplicate. My life does not have a duplicate. And I didn't come into the world just simply because I had to get married. This is one thing that people should understand. You didn't come into the world just simply because you have to get married. Marriage is part of God's design for you here on earth, not his complete agenda for you on earth. So if you understand this, you're going to discover that you have something to achieve here on earth, which is even which marriage might or might not be part of it. Your vision, your purpose might be accomplished, might be achieved, even with or without getting married. So if it happens that you're already married and you are being abused, I think the first thing we always tell everybody is you must leave the scene. You must leave the environment where the abuse is taking place. Even if you have to pray, like my quote of yesterday reads, it's not bad to pray for your husband or for your marriage. But sometimes you need to do it out of that environment. If you have to stay there to pray there, no. It's going to be, it's something that your life might end up. People have died even during fasting for their spouse. I mean, the kind of spouse that abuses someone. So abuse, in fact, abuse is something that is bad. And this comes from spouses that wants to dominate the other one. You know, they want to manipulate you. They want to threaten you. They want you to feel like you are not valuable. They want you to feel intimidated. All of this is just to take advantage of you and make you feel like you have nowhere else to go to. Equally, someone that is already abusing you at the level of just relationship, I mean, you two are not yet married, and they are already abusing you. It could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be psychological, sexual, or whatever. I had a particular case here that it was not easy. A man is already beating you. I mean, he's not yet married to you, but he can beat you even on the street and tell you that nobody has power or has a say in whatever he does to you. Imagine he's not yet married to you, and he could do that. Then what?
Okay, we are talking about God hates divorce. We have seen many men actually do exactly what she is saying. A man beats a lady up in the quarter and says nobody has a right to intervene because I've paid dowry for, yes. And then the man of God has blessed this whole stuff, so it is, and then the state knows everything. You belong to me.
Mr. Leo, I did laugh.
Okay.
You know why I'm laughing? Because there's going to be trouble very soon in this nation.
Yes.
There's something that is paining my heart, and there are things we're about to do in this nation that will frighten people. I'm talking in over TV. People should learn this thing that is going to happen in this nation. Those people who can go openly and begin to beat their wives, and some of them, after that you beat your wife, you go and preach the next day, nobody will do anything. Your leaders in the church will cover you. You're this thing. We are coming for you. We are coming. Those boys that used to beat girls and drag them on the road and hold their hair and
the
drag
protest,
it,
nobody's
and nobody
intervening,
does anything about it. We are coming. That's the truth. I'm coming. One thing will happen in this nation. We're not going to do things out of the law. We're going to do things with the law, with the government, and with the states that be. Many a times what happens is that people are not ready to cooperate with the state. And because of that, the state cannot carry out its function effectively. But if the state can see people who are ready to operate with them and carry out work exactly the way it should be done, they will work with them. And I want to say there are many out there who are also against brutality, against, wife battery, against this kind of harsh nature of men on women. It's time you get to join us and see what we want to do about this thing. It's not a joke. We're not going to joke about such things. People don't just die like that. We are just talking about this lady that just died now in Douala because the guy got the woman beaten and this and this and this. Did you not see your friends that you could go and exercise your power with them, that you people can fight and blow yourselves? You come and blow a woman. Sometimes when you want to even blow a woman, don't you even check and see that there is no even place in a woman's body that you can blow? Everywhere is very soft, 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 soft. You want to beat where? Where do you want to blow? But some men are heartless. We are coming. We are coming. The truth about it is that the society has not been doing anything. And some people just go, they snap some of these things, they snap some of these videos. We're going to cooperate with the police stations this time. We're going to cooperate with the social welfare. We're going to cooperate with the law. We're going to
share the numbers. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Your topics are sensitive and educative. Mr. Leo, my worry is the way us Africans reason the approach to Bible and the Western world. Why is it that the West looks at divorce as normal, but Africans took divorce as crime? Please, Valentine, Apostle Ambi, Valentine, clarify us on this. By Mbacha Nelson, writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you guys in the studio. Please, I wish you help me if you have a girlfriend that is supportive. She provides food when she knows you are down. She always supports when she knows you are down financially. She is hardworking, but she is not submissive. Is she a good girl or not? She always misunderstands you. Anytime you want to correct her, she will get angry and even shout back at you. At times she will be on the wrong, and when you correct her, she will get angry and she will realize herself after and apologize. It happens repeatedly, always wrong. Beg for forgiveness at the end, all the time. Thanks. It's Paulo. This her behavior has made me to lose feelings for her. I want to tell her to go. Please help me. Can you just call us after the program? You talk that out with the counselor. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm enjoying the program as usual. My special greetings to Apostle Ambe. This is Marus, writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Thanks, Apostle Ambe, for those words of wisdom. You are wisdom giver. Anyaka, writing from Yaoundé. Greetings to you, Mr. Leo, and to your panelist, Apostle Divine. God hates divorce, but he loves the divorcee. The covenant of life is stronger than the covenant of marriage. Marriage is no guarantee of making eternity, and divorce is not eternal damnation. Apostle Ngwa, salute grace. Sir, wisdom speaking. Apostle Ngwa, thank you, sir, for answering. Okay. Now, good evening to all of you in the studio. To survive abuse in marriage, go back to your mother, because life has no duplicate. Good evening, Mr. Leo. The truth is many men put on the sheep clothes, but when they get married, they bring out the wolf in them. As I speak now, I'm on my way out because of infidelity. Greetings to the men of God in the house. Free is writing from Bamenda. I will not give precisely where you're writing from. This we should have to. Things are not really good, eh?
Yes, it's not. They're not really good.
Now, in the case of a situation where a lady is under very terrible heat, what should that lady do? Call the parents, call the elders, marriage counselors, and the case for the man?
Okay, very good question. The first thing is, that is why when I said here that God hates, some people have misunderstood what I said. I was not saying somebody should endure abuse to the point of death. Now, immediately you find yourself in that kind of situation, life is made up of relationships other than marriage. Sometimes we behave like when two people marry, every other relationship cuts off, and that's only the husband and wife relationship that exists. How on earth, for example, some people are blaming pastors. I'm like, how can you blame a pastor when you have father, mother, neighbors? You understand, Mr. Liu? I think everybody, like we said here, that a woman should even know, like, okay, remember, if the people had followed that rule of having somebody whom can call the husband to order, that should be the first place the person should report. If you are legally married, I always advise, if you are legally married, you can go to social welfare. We have advice here, you go to the police. If maybe you don't have the means, or you think that maybe you need some other counsel, some of you who have spiritual counselors and guidance, talk to them. Like, look at how, I think when Pastor Paul in nature opened up, Pastor Paul was saying that he was not aware of certain things. I don't think that should be so. And for a family who had access, that even the children ran to him every Sunday, like they said. So I think there's no one prescription, because I don't want to say that the first person must be pastor or must be this, but we are saying that there are other vital relationships that both parties in marriage should have had that can help them in such a situation. And please, man of God, when people are creating this situation of helping, please, let's not help only the women. Let's help the men. Because when we're talking about this abuse, the physical one is the easiest to see. So let's also, I'm just telling you, because also men will also be walking out, because women also have been hurting men, destroying men, killing visions, killing lives. Please, no, if we will choke life, let's balance it. It's not just the women. The men also are crying for help.
It is a man that moves to a woman to marry, so he has to take time to marry that woman.
You see,
so he should not be
good. So he has come up to that point that we are saying that people should take time to marry.
Yes.
This was my greatest concern, that the rising thing of this divorce is not for us just to be shouting divorce, divorce, but we should be able to see that taking time will help a lot, and we'll be able, take time to marry. Please, it's a very serious matter. Don't go and die in something they call marriage.
I want us to also accept the fact that humans are not perfect.
Yes.
As accurate as Samuel was, he went to the house of Jesse to select a king and missed the king. That's a prophet of a very high echelon, whose words, none of them fell on the ground. Men can make mistake to marry the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's but certain.
Yeah.
So this thing should not hang only on men's head. A man's mistake should not remain a mistake forever. We correct mistakes. If the woman was a mistake, correct her by divorce. No other explanation to correct.
I think one thing we have to one thing we have to make here is that, and I want to just put my mouth to what Apostle said. Marriage has been overrated.
That's the thing.
Marriage has been overrated.
Yeah,
it has been that thing that people
it,
are running to, even in church. Like if it does not happen, we will die.
What are you talking about?
No.
Yeah, but is that not actually where many persons are missing it, especially a lady?
Yes,
a lady goes to university, gets a great job, does a lot of projects around, and then they still feels that because she's not married, she's
empty. Yeah. She's not.
Mr. Leo, I want to thank God. It's my turn to answer.
Yes, go on.
I have said it in church, and I'm preaching it everywhere. Marriage is not purpose. Marriage is not an employment. Marriage is not a job opportunity. As a matter of fact, marriage is not the way to eternity. Marriage is just one of those complementing factors of life, which I think if it is not there, you can still live your life successfully. And people, it is in the Pentecostal cycle when I came and realized that marriage was a miracle.
Yes.
A big
I'm
one.
telling you,
Not a small
the most important miracle.
If I
it's
big
a
one,
miracle.
a big one.
Why should marriage be a miracle? It's in the Pentecostal cycle when I came, I realized that sisters could go for 7 days dry fasting to get married.
Lots of
I was
days,
asking
more than
them how.
7 days.
This thing
Praise
is
the Lord. See
strange.
my husband here.
21 days fasting, and they
5
come to
days
church.
fasting.
They can't think of creating companies. They can't think of opening plantations. They can't think of advancing themselves academically. They can't think of becoming CEO in organizations. They can't think of becoming the richest African woman or the richest black woman in the world. They can't think of becoming the next president. All they are thinking is for who they will get married to. I can tell you that if there are 200 sisters in a church, 198, their prayer topic is marriage. You come to church, you see them, because to them, marriage will come and take them out of that suffering. Not knowing that sometimes marriage doubles the suffering. Some think that when you get married, all your problems will be solved. Marriage is not an escape route from suffering. You can even get married and multiply your sorrows. If you cannot get happiness as an individual, you won't get married. You carry your happiness into your marriage because marriage does not give you happiness. And this is the thing we have been singing every day. Build capacity. Men call me all over the world, not because I apply. There are people I'm doing business consultancy in and out of this country. I never applied. I build capacity, I dish what I have, it begins to attract. Once you develop capacity, capacity attracts. When you are chasing things, it means you have nothing to offer. If you build capacity, capacity like a magnet, begin to attract from all corners of the world what you are looking for. We tell sister, build capacity. And listen to me, you can never attract a class of man you have not built the capacity to draw him. That is the truth. So don't sit there in church and think that because you organize on 21 days fasting and prayers, God will just pick somebody and give to you. Listen to me very well.
This is
the
my sister
people who are
in
building
room and
capacity.
workplace.
Eh?
This is my sister in room and
And well,
workplace.
please.
Just drop one brother.
It's a fake impression.
That, yeah.
I've taught all my guys, I want to see you in the next 5 years, you are CEO of this, CEO of this, CEO of this. Either you start a foundation, an NGO, a company, a plantation, or you look for a good certificate and get a befitting job, a multinational contract, something like that nature. When you build such capacity, it begins to attract some categories of men. Doctors don't associate with illiterates. They will always meet what I get a level, what I get a level. What I get a level, ma talk for pigeon among a year. What I get a level, photography talk pigeon too. What I get a level. If you not build capacity to a level, you cannot attract some class of people. If I sit today with doctors and prophets because they have seen me, I match their standard. That's the same thing in all facets of life. Even as men, the class of men you want to relate with is the capacity you build. You cannot attract some class of men if you have not built their capacity. If men can be attracted to men of their class, then what of a woman they want to spend the rest of their life with?
Okay.
Please, wake up.
Wake up, please. Good evening, sir, and all the highly esteemed men of God. I love your program and the topic. May God continue to take you to another level. Amen. Good evening, Mr. Liu and co-panelists. I'm enjoying the program a lot. I want to thank Apostle Ambe for all what he is saying concerning marriage. Some women downgrade other women because they are not married. Marriage is not an achievement. Joyce is writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu and all in the house. People can still take their whole time, study someone, but tomorrow the marriage still don't work after years. We just need to pray, manage the one we have with our whole heart. Nobody is perfect, but not to the extent of losing yourself. At that level, you can leave. Thanks to all the prophets in the house for their good lessons. I love your program always. Annie Yefon is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you in the house. Please, many people pretend in church as far as marriage is concerned. They do not show you themselves. Marriage abuse and violence, there are signs of the end time because at first we were not getting all these things, and it is fulfillment of the scripture. Mr. Linus is writing from Bomenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu and crew. Thank you so much for coming up with such a good topic to discuss on, and pray more of such should keep coming up. Thank men of God for their good work, especially as they talk about realities of life. More grace to you. Rose is writing from Bonaberry. Good evening to you, Rose. Good evening to you, Mr. Liu. I love your tonight topic about divorce. God hates divorce, and divorce is the devil's plan from the pit of hell. It is important to note that when we divorce, we must not remarry. Remarry is a sin. Read Mark chapter 10, verse 11. Amotale Ernest, writing from Ebolova. Good evening, Mr. Leo and everyone in the studio. I want to thank you and everyone in the studio for elaborating on this very sensitive topic. I just want to reiterate here that most people are talking about physical violence. What about emotional violence? I know about cases where a woman decides to drink poison because she couldn't bear stress anymore. These things happen so much, mostly in the Western world, because laying hand on a woman is jailhouse. Prince Bile is writing from Germany. We are actually planning to do a program on the way you guys live in America, in Germany, in the UK. It's not easy. We understand that you even don't have enough time to spend with your spouse. Yeah.
To interact, yes. Some stay for months without meeting.
But Prince Bile would also want to have you guys participate. If you can organize yourselves, 3 or 4 of you guys are from the diaspora, I'll gladly host you people to share what frustrations you are facing in this circle of marriage. Sorry, I mean responsible men, please, men of God, we need your support. Some men take advantage a lady and refuse to take responsibility in their homes. My husband pretends every day that he doesn't have money to provide food because I have been assisting, thinking he would change, but it's not going. Yes, help me when... Okay, we will only have to end here. If I have to read the messages, we'll read them till tomorrow. Thank you, Apostle Ambe, for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. I want to take this opportunity to invite all and sundry. Our program, Record Breakers, our annual program begins tomorrow, Wednesday, the 20th of this particular month of April 2022. My birthday is the 21st of April 2022. Come to Bonaberry. We're going to be breaking records in every facet of life. Contact me through this number, 670-749844. 670-749844. Record Breaker starts tomorrow. You are welcome to that program.
Apostle, thank you for coming too.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo, and thank you, my fellow panelists. I want to say that it's always a good time for us to talk, but I want to say that know that if you rush to get divorced, you have to stay like that for a very long time so that you don't make the same kind of mistake.
Thank you for coming, Apostle Lefo.
Thank you, Mr. Leo.
There's no remarry.
Yes,
so you have to stay like that.
Stay like that. Thank you so much. It's an honor, beautiful topic. Thank you.